Looking for a way to brighten up boring old chicken breast? Well, I've got the perfect solution for you here. This is my lemon garlic chicken. I'm serving it with rice, but you can serve it with whatever you'd like. Pasta, quinoa, even mashed potatoes. So if you'd like to see how this is done, stick around because it's coming up next. Hello and welcome to my kitchen. My name is Roy. I'm a home cook and amateur baker, and I'm here on this channel sharing recipes that have helped me to lose over 125 pounds, whether those recipes are mine or someone else's. Now today is one of mine, but I've seen similar types of dishes around, so I didn't invent this, but I did invent a way to make it a little better in bites, points, and calories. So what are we making today? We are making my lemon garlic chicken. Now I'm making mine with rice today, but you can do it with pasta, you can do it with other grains like quinoa and farro, or you could put it over mashed potatoes if you want. I'm doing rice for a couple of reasons. The first time I did it with pasta and it was delicious, but Paul thought it might be good with rice, particularly jasmine rice, which has a kind of floral fragrance to it. And he also thought this would be an opportunity for me to show you the gift he got me. My rice cooker, I had a little cheapo rice cooker, and the on switch kind of broke. I mean, I could turn it on, but then it wouldn't stop on its own. I had to stop it myself. So Paul decided in his wisdom that he would splurge on getting me a rice cooker that really he had wanted all along. But he thought since we would be having this with rice, I could show you my brand new rice cooker. He did want me to do an unboxing, but I ended up opening it before that came about. But I did decide I will show you how I'm going to use this new fancy rice cooker. It does all sorts of things. This isn't sponsored, by the way, but it does all sorts of things like it'll steam vegetables. It does various kinds of rices and grains. It will even do cakes. So I haven't tried that yet, but in particular, they showed cheesecakes in the booklet. But I'm thinking you could do just about any kind of cake, so I may be experimenting with that sometime in the future. But I am getting ahead of myself. Right now, I'm going to show you the ingredients that we need for lemon garlic chicken. Here I have my cooking spray, of course. You could use a little bit of oil, but I really prefer using the cooking spray. Here I have 1 cup of chicken broth, and you could replace that with water if you want, or even water with a little bit of better than bouillon mixed in. But I do like the flavor that the chicken broth will bring to this dish. Here I have 1 pound of chicken breast cut into bite-sized pieces, and you could do a little bit more chicken if you want. For me, it's 0 bites, 0 points, so I don't mind using a little bit more, but this is just slightly over 1 pound. Here I have 1 lemon, and I didn't do anything with the lemon yet because I'm just gonna zest it and juice it when we're cooking. We are gonna be using both the zest and the juice. Now, you don't have to get a lemon to do this. If you wanted to just use the bottled juice, which I sometimes do, so there's no shame in that game. If you wanted to do that, because the zest is going to give it more lemon flavor, you're gonna wanna boost that lemon juice by about a teaspoon or so, just to get a little extra lemon flavor in here. Here I have 1/2 of a medium onion diced, and that is about a 1/2 cup if, like my pal Brie, you decide to use frozen. Again, no shame in the game. Do what you have to do to get it done. Here I have 1 cup of frozen peas thawed, and you could use canned if you wanted, but I would add that later in the process. Or you could change it up for other vegetables. You could add other vegetables. I think broccoli would be great in here. But if you do use other vegetables, what I suggest is that you either use frozen but thawed vegetables, or use pre-cooked. Like if you wanted to do broccoli, either pre-cook it or use the frozen, because this is going in not too long before it's done, so you want to have that pre-done. That's why I like using the frozen peas, but you can change those up for other vegetables as you like. Here I have 1 tablespoon of minced garlic, and that is actually kind of a heaping tablespoon because we enjoy garlic around here. But if you're a little more sensitive to the flavors of garlic, no vampire shaming here, you can reduce that down a little bit to what is more comfortable for you. But this is lemon garlic chicken, so we need plenty of garlic. Here I have 1 teaspoon of dried thyme, and you could use fresh. You would use a tablespoon of fresh, and you would add that at the end, not when we're adding this. And 3/4 teaspoon of lemon pepper. Now, you don't have to have lemon pepper. I do think it enhances the lemon flavor and brings this all together. But if you don't have it, you don't want to get it, just replace that with a 1/2 teaspoon of salt and a 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. But that's going to be in the recipe. You don't have to try to remember all of that. But those are all of the ingredients we're going to need. So I'll be back in a moment to get my rice started, and then we will prepare our chicken after that. So give me a moment and I'll be back. Okay, so for the rice, I have here my Sojarushi rice cooker. And as I said, it's got different functions on here for sweet rice, brown rice, cake, steaming. It even has one for porridge. But when I looked at their recipe, they use rice to make a porridge. But I'm wondering if I could make some oatmeal in here. I will have to try that. But we are making rice, and I have my jasmine rice here. And they give you this cup. This is what they want you to use because then you fill the water to a certain line. Now, I'm not sure why these cups that come with rice cookers aren't actual cups. This is more like 3/4 of a cup if you fill this. And even though the sides say 1/4, 1/2, it's more of this cup. I'm not sure why rice cookers do that. They don't use a regular standard cup, but I'm going to go along with what they say. So the first thing you want to do is fill up your cup. I'm going to make 2 batches because, as I said, this isn't a standard cup size, and I can always save some for some fried rice afterwards. But what they suggest is that you fill the cup over the top, then scrape off the excess. And I'm going to put that into a sieve because they do want you to rinse the rice off. And they suggest just rinsing it in here with water and stirring it around. I don't do that. I just run it under water in the sink and have done with it. And as I said, this is jasmine rice, which has a very floral note. And I think it pairs really well with the lemon. But they want you to have that flat. I'm going to pour that into the sieve. And then I'm going to go over to the sink. I'm going to run this under cold water until the water starts coming out clear and doesn't have that white filmy look to it. So let me get this rinsed and I'll be back. All right, so I have my rice rinsed and I have my rice cooker open. Here's the steamer basket if you wanted to steam some vegetables, but I'm not using that. I'm just going to be using this pot for rice. I'm going to put my rice right in here. And then because I did 2 cups or their cups worth, I need to fill this to the number 2 line with some water. So let me go grab that. All right, so I have the water filled up to the number 2 line, and then I've shaken it to get that rice even in there. Now I'm going to put it into the rice cooker, close the lid. The other thing I really like about this, besides this handy handle that you have, and it does come with a little rice spoon. One of my favorite parts of this is it has a retractable cord. So just pull it out, and when you're done, you just release it and let it go. So I love that. So let me get this plugged in, and then it should be automatically set to white rice, which is what jasmine is considered, and it is. So now I'm just going to hit start. And it gives you some little chime to let you know that it's acknowledging it started. It will also give a chime once it's done. Now it's saying 60 minutes. I actually think it ends up coming out a little bit less than that, but that's about 60 minutes, and that'll be perfect time for me to set this aside, get everything else ready as we go. So I'll be back in a moment to start our chicken. All right, so I've turned my chicken out onto a plate. Normally I would have done this on a cutting board, but I had to prep everything for the video. And I'm going to season it with the 3/4 teaspoon of lemon pepper and just toss that around to get everything coated with a little bit of that seasoning. Now, as I said, if you don't have lemon pepper, no worries. Just use 1/2 teaspoon of salt and 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper and you'll be fine. You just want to season the chicken breast a little bit. Okay, so that looks pretty good right there. So I'm going to set that aside as I heat up my skillet, and I'm going to heat that on medium high right now. We will be turning that down a little bit later, but for right now, I'm doing it at medium high. Okay, and I've let the pan heat up. I can feel it is hot enough. I'm going to coat it with some cooking spray and keep this nearby because I will be needing it again. And to this, I'm going to add in our chicken breast. And that's what you want to hear when you put your meat into a pan, is you want to hear that sizzle, or what I call the applause. And you want this spread out into an even layer. Now, if your pan is too small to accommodate an even layer of the chicken, you will want to do it in batches. But this fits perfectly, and this is about a 10-inch skillet. So now what we're going to do is let this sit untouched on medium high for about 2 to 3 minutes so that we can get some color on that side, and then we're going to flip them. So give me a few moments and I'll be back. Okay, so it's been about 3 minutes. I'm just going to flip this chicken onto the other side so that we can get some browning done there as well. And there's not as much browning as I would have liked. I'm not sure if it's the pan or what, but it'll be fine. It's cooking, that's all that really matters. All right, so now I'm gonna do the same thing and let this sit here on this side for about 2 to 3 minutes and hopefully get a little more color than I did on that side. So I'll be back in a moment. Okay, so it's been about another 3 minutes. I still didn't get much color, and I noticed that the chicken was releasing a lot of liquid. So I don't know if it was because it had been frozen previously or what, but it doesn't matter. As long as the chicken is cooked through, the color does enhance the flavors, but it's not necessary. So I'm going to turn this down to medium, transfer this chicken to a plate so I can get this out of the skillet, set that aside, put the skillet back on, and coat that with more cooking spray. Now to this, I'm going to add the onions, and I'm going to get these sauteing, softening up a little bit, and getting slightly translucent. That's only going to take about 3 minutes. Okay, so it's been about 3 minutes. And you can see the onions are slightly translucent, meaning they're not as opaque white. You can kind of see a little bit of light shining through there. We're going to add in our peas, garlic, and thyme, and stir that all through. Now, if you were using fresh thyme, you would want to add that in at the end. You don't want to use fresh herbs too soon in the cooking process, because then they kind of wilt away and lose a lot of their flavor. With dried herbs, you want to add them during cooking so they can heat and get a lot of their flavor out into the food. All right, so now we're just going to let this sit here for about 2 minutes or so, stirring it occasionally just to get those peas warmed through. The peas have warmed through. Now I'm going to add in the zest and juice of the lemon. You could have this all prepared ahead of time if you want, but I'm just going to add it in right here. Just grate it right in. And you don't want to get the white part of the lemon. That is called the pith, and that is very bitter. So you just want to get the yellow off of the lemon. But we're just going to zest this entire lemon. This is going to be about a tablespoon of zest. And the oils in that zest are really activating in the heat. So that smell is really wafting up. So that's in there. Now I'm going to just cut this in half. I have my juicer here. I also have a fine mesh strainer because I don't want any seeds in there. So I'm going to put this upside down, put the sieve right onto the food, and squeeze the juice of the lemon in here. And this is probably about a 1/4 cup of lemon juice, maybe 3 tablespoons. I'm going to stir that all through, and then I'm going to add in the cup of chicken broth, and I'm going to turn this back up to medium-high because we want to evaporate some of that chicken broth and help to condense those flavors. We are going to reduce this down until it's thickened, and we'll stick to whatever we put into it, whether it's rice, pasta, what have you. So now we're going to let this reduce down for about 10 minutes so that the sauce will thicken up. And if you want, you could also do a cornstarch slurry if you want a little more of the sauce and less reducing time. And you do a tablespoon of cornstarch mixed into a tablespoon of cold water and then add that in to thicken this up. But about 10 minutes and I'll be back. All right, so it's been 10 minutes and you can see it's reduced quite a bit. And if I pull the spatula through it, it takes a moment for the sauce to fill in the space. That is what we want. So I'm going to add back in the chicken and any juices that may have accumulated and just stir this all through. And I'm going to just give this another minute or two for that chicken to warm back up. Okay, and now turn off the heat. And that's it, we're done. As I said, you can serve this however you want with rice, as I'm going to be doing pasta, farro, quinoa, mashed potatoes, whatever you feel like, cauliflower rice. But I don't mind having some regular rice with this, because when you hear how low the bites, points, and calories are, you can easily get away with having some rice or pasta. Now for the nutrition facts on this, it is going to be 0 Better Balanced Bites or old Blue Points. I'm on the Healthy Better Balanced plan, which is equivalent to the old WW Blue plan, and that's around where their current plan is. So this is going to be 0 bites, 0 points. And this does serve 4. So if you are following calories, the calories would be 263. And if you were following macros, the fat is 6.5 grams. Saturated fat is 1.4 grams. Protein is 20.1 grams. Carbs are 33.2 grams. Fiber is 4.2 grams. And sugars are 3.2 grams for 1/4 of this recipe. Now I hope that you enjoyed this recipe and this video, and if you did, I'd appreciate the usual. Like, subscribe, comment, share, and hit that notification bell for the next time I upload any sort of video. And if you'd like the recipe for this, it of course is going to be linked down below in the description box. There's also a link to the blog itself if you're looking for any of my recipes. And speaking of my recipes, I also have a link for my cookbook if you haven't purchased that. You can also search Recipes with Roy Cookbook because this is the US link. And if you're in another country, you're gonna have to search for it. But it does help to support the channel, and I do appreciate everyone who has purchased one. Speaking of supporting the channel, I also have my 2 stores down there. My Fourth Wall store and my Zazzle store. And there you can find things like this apron. You can find mugs, glasses, calendars, planners, what have you. So if you can support the channel in that way, I would really appreciate it. Also down in the description box is a link to my Amazon storefront if I've used anything here, such as the rice cooker that you are interested in. It will be linked down in the description box. And you can search through the different categories of foods, kitchenwares, etc. And also down there, you're going to find links to my social media, my Instagram, and a few Facebook groups that I'm part of. And a couple of those groups, my Recipes with Roy group and the Slim Win group, we do have live chat meetings every Friday for the Slim Win group and every other Monday for the Yep, there's the chime for my rice. It's all done. I knew it was going to take less than an hour. It was about 45 minutes. So when the rice is done, you're going to want to pop that open and be careful of the steam. And then you want to just take your little paddle and just fluff up the rice a little bit. Typically, I would do this with a fork, but they say you can do it with this paddle without having any problems. So you just want to fluff that up, and then you can close the lid and keep it on warm as long as you need to. Now that the rice is out of the way, I can tell you that the Slimwin group and my Recipes with Roy group, we do have meetings online, kind of like Zoom, but there's nothing to download. The Slimwin group meets every Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. if you're in the UK, where a lot of the participants of the Slimwin group are. Also, in my Recipes with Roy group, we do meetings every other Monday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So hopefully you can join us there if you need a little support on your weight loss journey. So now I'm going to serve this up now that my rice is all done, and I hope you'll be giving this a try yourself very soon. So until next time, bye.